Chapter 9 The Great Escape. Later, we found that a guard of the king's court was a secret member of Reuben's band. He sent word to Reuben that Herod had quickly called for all his astrologers, astronomers, and magicians. "There is a baby born who is to be the new king of the Jews," Herod told them. "We must find this impostor and kill him." "Examine the skies," he demanded. "The three kings said there is a star that guides them. Find it so we can also follow it. I am not sure I can trust those kings from the east." But right then the skies in Jerusalem were covered with clouds and haze. There were no stars in sight. "Forgive us, O great king," said the magicians, "but there are no stars for us to follow. We will have to wait until the skies are clear again." King Herod was furious. "You worthless magicians," he yelled. "What do I need you for?" One of his counselors approached him and said, "Don't worry, my king. Let the magicians continue watching the skies. In the meantime, I will send a caravan with spies to follow the kings." "Fine idea," said Herod. "Bring me my stallion, Malum, and a couple of camels. There is no time to waste." But when they went to the corrals to organize the caravan, they didn't find one single horse or camel. The doors were wide open, and all the animals had escaped. The king's counselors were afraid of his anger and ran away to hide before the news spread about the empty corrals. When Herod heard what happened, he was so upset that he fell ill, coughing, sneezing, and scratching, and could not move for 3 whole weeks. Herod didn't know which route we were taking, so he could not follow us. We traveled in sunny days under a blue sky with warm breezes refreshing us. One morning, as we were breaking camp, Princess Paasha looked straight into King Melchior's eyes and said, "I must confess, I have kept a secret from you. My friend Roopert the Mouse is traveling with us. He is a scribe and has been keeping track of everything that has happened on this trip. He wants to write the story of our visit to the King of Kings. He felt he could do a better job keeping records if we were not aware of his presence. He is a faithful servant of your kingdom and requests permission to approach you." I was so proud of Princess Paasha. I could not have said it better myself. Poking my head out first, I came out slowly from under Queen Betsy's saddle. She was quiet and did not move a muscle. Would she swat me with her trunk? Were the stories true about elephants being terrified of mice? Would King Melchior be angry when I told him I had been hiding in his pocket and under his handkerchief? All these thoughts were too much for me to bear, and I could not keep from shaking. "Well, Roopert," said King Melchior, "what do you have to say for yourself?" My jaw felt stuck, and words did not come to my mouth. King Melchior," I said, "I am so sorry. I could not finish my sentence because I started crying hard." King Melchior reached out his hand and picked me up. "Don't cry, Mousie. Here, use my handkerchief. We are grateful for what you did last night at Herod's palace. You and Princess Paasha kept us from risking the life of our baby king. We welcome you to our quest. Keep track of everything that happens. This may be one of the most important journeys in history." Queen Betsy reached her trunk out to pet me. She liked me. She said, "I knew you were hiding under my saddle. I tried to move very carefully. I didn't want to end up with a black ink stain on my back." While everybody laughed, I scampered back up on Queen Betsy to get my manuscript. They all wanted to read it, but my handwriting was too small. King Melchior was impressed at all the tiny pages I had written. I said, "King Melchior, you will be the first to get a copy of my book. And when we get home, he is going to teach me to read and write," exclaimed Princess Paasha, barking with joy. "I am delighted to know that, my dear," said King Melchior. Turning to me, he said, "Master Roopert, I would like to attend your lessons too. Do you think it would be all right to include me as well? Perhaps even an assistant professor?" I was in mousy heaven. "I would be most honored, King Melchior. Let's move your office so you can write more comfortably," he said. But when I looked her over and saw Queen Betsy's sad eyes looking at me, I answered, "Thank you for that offer, but I could not have better accommodations. I will stay under the saddle if you don't mind." Betsy trumpeted, and Princess Paasha rolled over. King Melchior saluted me and named me Royal Scribe of the Kingdom of Persia. And me? I was just happy to have the liberty to come out and enjoy all the conversations, the games, and the food. My plate and my cup were truly full. Reuben and his men joined us at one of the camping spots. They had to hide from Herod's guards along the way. Once they thought they were caught when they saw Herod's horses and camels running wildly toward them. When we saw they had no riders, we caught a few of them for our men, said Reuben. We wondered if you and Princess Paasha had anything to do with this. King Melchior told the band what happened at the palace. They all laughed and said, "We know Princess Paasha is extraordinary, but what a brave mouse." "Yes, he and Paasha kept us from making a huge mistake," King Melchior, smiling broadly, said Brent. "A dog that speaks and a mouse that reads and writes," Reuben said. "What more surprises do you have up your sleeve?" I pulled out my manuscript and read them the passages describing their attack on our caravan, with King Melchior translating. Though they looked a bit embarrassed, they seemed to be pleased to be part of my book. "May we have a copy of it when you're done?" Matthew asked shyly. "Of course," I answered. I noticed he was still limping a bit. Everyone was quiet when King Melchior read the part of Herod's horrible plan for the baby. "We will defend him," Reuben said. "No one will harm our king." King Caspar was moved by their faithfulness and said, "I want to give you official titles." Caspar was moved by their faithfulness and said, "In the name of King Balthazar, King Melchior, and myself, I declare you friends and disciples of the King of Kings." All the animals cheered. Before we continued our journey, King Melchior reminded us to keep as quiet and inconspicuous as possible. Take no risks. Herod will try to pursue his evil plan very soon. During the trip, the kings and the band of men traveling with us talked about the prophecies, all the words that had been spoken in Scripture about the new king. "He will grow to become a great warrior," said Reuben. "The Scripture said he will be shepherd. He will shepherd God's people," said Caspar. "God has a plan for him, that is certain. A shepherd just like our Paasha. She protects us before she thinks of herself." Paasha and I kept guard night and day to make sure King Herod was not following us as we continued following the star that guided us. Finally, one night we noticed the star was not moving. It had stopped. "We have arrived," said Paasha. There it is. There's the star. And it stopped moving. And that's how they know they made it to the Messiah's house.